Hey everyone, we're continuing our I Am midweek devotional series, and this week's I Am comes from John chapter 10, verse 11, where Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. Jesus says it twice in this section. So let me read to you verses 11 to 15. It says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he is a hired hand and knows nothing for the sheep, cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. You know, there's so much richness there that's in this scripture passage, but we'll just focus on a few things. In chapter 9, as Pastor Gary mentioned last week, the blind beggar who Jesus heals is excommunicated out of the synagogue by the Pharisees. So it's the Pharisees who are the false shepherds, the hired hands. They didn't care for the man. They just mistreated him and threw him out. But Jesus, the good shepherd, finds him and takes him into the fold. The Pharisees, they always seem to be missing the point. At the end of the day, the Pharisees were only invested in their own interests and in their own self-preservation. The true shepherd came to save the sheep, but the false shepherds were taking advantage of the sheep and exploiting them, according to scriptures. Here's the Pharisees spreading their own fake news for their own advantage, ultimately. And then here comes Jesus, the good shepherd, spreading the truth of the good news. So Jesus calls himself a shepherd. Even today in the Holy Land, you can see shepherds that are out there leading their flocks. And to the Jewish mind, a shepherd was a kind of leader, whether spiritual or political. People looked on the king and prophets as shepherds. Jesus also calls himself good. The Bible declares that goodness is inherent in God's nature. It's part of his character. The word good describes what is for us the ideal model. And for Jesus to call himself good would be the same as calling himself God. So here is God in human form, the good King of Kings who reaches out to the sheep. And when danger comes, when the wolves of our culture come knocking, he doesn't take off and say, well, I hope that works out best for you. Good luck. No, he stays and he cares for them. More than that, he intimately knows them and they can know him. You see, the shepherds, they intimately knew their sheep, their individual traits and their characteristics, their needs. The sheep, they were prone to danger. They'd literally wander off and walk right into it. They were defenseless and in need of a shepherd. So do you see what Jesus is getting at here? Like it says in Psalm 100, we are the sheep of his pasture. The hymn writer Robert Robinson wrote the lyric, prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Jesus cares for us. He searches for us and brings us into the fold. He is the good shepherd that lays down his life for the sheep. He sacrifices himself, not as a martyr, but as a substitute, laying down his life for us. I don't know about you, but man, that is good news today. The good shepherd loves you and he cares about you. Do you know the good shepherd? He knows exactly what you're going through today. He intimately knows you. Why don't you just call him today? Call on him and reach out to Jesus today, the Good Shepherd. Oh, I think it's time to go. God bless you.